If it is your will that we fight today, I am ready, Lord, thy will be done. It is your sword I will wield into battle. Your banner I will raise against those who would desecrate our land. And if it is my time to be with you, Lord, then I come to you with all the joy in my heart.
When the war ultimately divides the country, many pointed to the fact that it was because of the turning away from God of certain aspects, certain elements of the country. A more secular North being driven by an industrialization, the South clinging to more traditional characteristics of religious commitment. Jackson commented to a friend that he felt that God was unhappy with the South in general and would bring about war to correct certain shortcomings of the South. Jackson's role in that would simply be to do his duty as he saw it as a Christian.
He was seeking a religious home from the time he graduated from West Point. In the post-war years in Mexico City, one day he actually went to the cathedral in Mexico City and knocked on the door and asked to see the head man. And in essence asked him, tell me something about the Catholic Church. That would be comparable today to ask the Pope to tell you in 50 words or less what Catholics believe.
The idea that the Pope is the middleman between Jackson himself and God, and that's not a relationship that he's comfortable with. He needs to find more of what God means to him.
Lord, speak to us. Speak to your children. Speak to Jim Lewis and Thomas Jackson, your humble and obedient servants. Speak to all of us. Our hearts are open. Lord, you show us the way, we will follow.
One has to remember that death was his most constant companion.
Thomas Jackson and his first wife, Ellie, are only married for a short time. She becomes pregnant, and during the birth of the child, she dies along with the infant. It's an absolutely stunning tragedy to Jackson, to everyone around him, everyone in the family. It is probably, to that point, the single most horrible moment in his life since the death of his mother when he was only 7 years old. It's something that scars him and I think stays with him for the rest of his life, and very much has an impact on how he relates to God, how he sees the role of religion in his life.
Everyone he tried to love died. And so death, walking beside him so constantly, made him naturally fearful of his own future.
This man who was seeking order and structure throughout his life found a comfortable home in the Presbyterian Church there.
Jackson liked, first of all, the informality of the service. Everyone was equal in the Presbyterian service. It wasn't a Catholic-like procession coming in while you look up to people who are obviously superior to you. It was more of a common ground religion, which he liked. The tenet of Presbyterianism then, I think, that most pleased him was the theory of predestination, namely that God has already ordained when you will die. And so Jackson could now go out and live life without fear of death.
General? How is it you can keep so serene and stay so utterly insensible with a storm of shells and bullets raining about your head?
Captain Smith, my religious belief teaches me to feel as safe in battle as in bed. God has fixed the time for my death. I do not concern myself with that, but to be always ready, whenever it may overtake me. That is the way all men should live, and all men would be equally brave.
During the Civil War, Jackson is living the life of an Old Testament warrior, not really caring about his self, but knowing that as long as he's a soldier of the army of the living God, as he literally referred to his troops, that God would take care of the ultimate outcome. Jackson would admonish certain soldiers on the fields not to flinch if the bullets were flying in their direction, because it's of no value, it's of no use to do that. God has determined whether that bullet's going to hit you or not. That gave Jackson this sense and appearance to the rest of his soldiers, great courage on the battlefield, because the ultimate destiny, the ultimate outcome of any given battle, or indeed the war itself, had already been determined. And if Jackson were to survive, then God knew that and would make it obvious in time. If he were not to survive, then God would reveal that in his own time too. So this took all of the worry of the immediate moment off of Jackson's soldiers and off of Jackson personally, and allowed him to be perhaps a little more audacious and demonstrate courage on the battlefield that would not have been possible otherwise.
The doctor tells me you have not long to live. I ask you to dismiss this matter from your mind and turn your thoughts to God and the world to which you go.
General, you know that I'm not a believer.
Well, then I will believe for the both of us.
Jackson's faith was infectious. It was contagious. He did not push it on his men, but they saw him, and they saw him exhibit the faith. You know, they tell a wonderful story of Richard Ewell at the outset of the 1860 campaign. General Ewell was Jackson's second in command. He was at best an agnostic. And then as Jackson moved from victory to victory to victory, Ewell just wondered and kept watching Jackson give thanks to God. And at the height of the campaign, or at the end of the campaign, Ewell went to Jackson's tent to congratulate him. And that was Jackson on his knees giving thanks to God. And Ewell is supposed to have said, "My God, if that's religion, I've got to have it." His loss is the most profound personal loss that the Southern Confederacy would suffer during the war. So his death at the midway point, and the fact that after Jackson's death, things went down. Now that may be coincidence, it may not be. Nevertheless, these two things combined to make him the great icon of the Confederacy.
General Lee, I must report that his case appears hopeless.
Surely General Jackson must recover. God will not take him from us, not now that we need him so very much.
Historians will tell you that when a man dies, has a lot to do with his place in history. And that Jackson died at the very height of his career. He was the most brilliant soldier in the Civil War by May 1863, perhaps the most esteemed soldier on earth at that time. So he dies at the very instance of his greatest fame.
Today is Sunday. Do you know that the doctor says you must very soon be in heaven? Do you not feel willing to acquiesce in God's allotment if He wills you to go today?
I prefer it.
Well, by the time this day closes, you will be with the blessed Savior in His glory.
The man has left us a legacy. You don't have to be a Confederate, you don't have to be a Southerner, but to feel the power that this man exerted over an entire culture, over an entire people, and an entire war, it's still there today.